Hello, I'm Jonjo. Welcome to Line War. Today we have SE2 starting right here, placing a lot of structures right here as well. He's got factories. This is interesting. Most people start with barracks, and it's lucky because he's predicted where Basantos is, and it is actually pretty close. I think that's what he's done there, because Basantos, one of the developers of the game, has gone for barracks and an airfield, and is spreading out across the map, and neither player actually know where the enemy is, unless they spoke about it before. Because Zoygist is not... Sorry, I just watched a battle with Zoygist. Basantos is going down this way, straight through the mountains there. And to be fair, Zoygist was against SE2, so we've just watched that match. It's probably going to come out before this one anyway, so you probably are aware of that. And he's going for a tank as well as some artillery there, and they have spotted each other now, so the engagements will start soon and see how they change things up, but it just looks like they were expecting this a little bit. Basantos is not. He's going to retreat to this line here. But SE2 is going to advance further that way anyway, so I think he did predict that. He's going for some energy as well, which he's going to need to fuel this tank. He's got some artillery on the field, but he's going into tanks now on those as well. So he's got 4 tanks in production right now. One's nearly completed, which might actually give away the tactic to Basantos. So he can't see it, so he might be alright for a while. Basantos is definitely going to carry on focusing on expanding though. He's going to get some units going around here and up there. You can leave this gap for a bit, but this is a large landmass, to be fair, on the map. So he's got a lot to cover, and with an early engagement, it is quite hard to manage your expanse as well as your defensive capabilities. But without any anti-air, the opponent's going for artillery and tanks. He's definitely going to need to switch into SAM units. Now that you can see the helicopter, there we go. He's going to change that tank's second production there, factory's second production, into a SAM unit, and that's going to help take out the helicopters. You could alternatively see where the helicopter came from. You might be able to send the tank straight through there, which I think he's actually doing. He may have seen it come through this direction, so that's where he's going to head off to, and hopefully he's going to spot it. That's what he's thinking. He now has 4 tanks heading off that way. He's got enough energy to supply this. They're on haste mode, so they're going to go as fast as they can, and they're on a blue command, so they'll fire while they'll shoot while moving across this mountain area. And SE2 is going to get some units to go off this way to try and see how far out they can go. And Basantos is quite concerned about those tanks. He's getting most of his units to come down this way to block him off. But SE2 still can't see that airfield that's in the mountains there because of the stealth the mountains is giving it. That SAM is nearly produced. He's got another one here coming out as well. And he's going back into the tanks there. So he's going to have quite a diverse army, and he has to deal with quite a lot of units there. Basantos has gone for an interceptor on there as well. I'm not sure exactly what that purpose is going to be for. I think he's expecting air units, or it might just be to discover stealth, because they are really good at uncovering the stealth units there. But it is going to slow his production down on air units, which, when the opponent's going for some SAM units now, the helicopter on its own is not going to be enough, and you probably need to get as many helicopters there at all. But I'm not going to question Basantos, as he's a developer. So I'll have to see what his plan is with that interceptor. He might just be for scouting purposes, to go around the map and check out what SE2 is doing. And information in this game is probably one of the most valuable things you can have. SE2 wasn't able to escape up in this direction. Basantos is still expanding this way. He's trying to anyway, but I think the units have come down to deal with this line here instead. Basantos is going for a very organised line here to go forward and attack the enemy. He switched the line up for some circles as they move in straight through the enemy's units there. He's also trying to give chase to the units trying to escape over in this direction. I don't think SE2 has any more units there. He's got one rushing off, but Basantos is chasing that really fast. And Basantos is surrounding these tanks with his infantry, and they're really close. They might actually be able to get the kills on these, but they probably won't be able to win this entire battle. But they might get some kills on those tanks, and the artillery are providing some extra support there. Nonetheless, this attack is stopping these tanks from attacking his main base anyway, and it's giving the helicopters some time to do more damage. But as it comes in, I can imagine these SAM units are going to be in range and are going to fire on that helicopter, and it's probably not going to be able to escape in time. He is trying to get that helicopter out of there, but that one last shot is going to be enough to take it out. He's switching up his lines there to get these tanks to haste mode around this army so they can actually do some harassment damage. It's going straight for this barracks up here. He's got another 2 tanks joining in on that action there and going for that barracks as well. From Basantos' point of view, he is expanding quite well. He's got some units up here trying to expand. He is going up this way. He was going up that way. He's now bringing them down to deal with these tanks that are escaping. The interceptor's coming through as well to help with any extra damage they can do to it. And these units are holding back the production of these structures. And I think they may overwhelm it if nothing's done about that to change it. Unfortunately for SE2, I don't know how... He's balanced out the SAM units quite well though. He's got 3 SAM units against the helicopter that's... the helicopter production from one airfield, and I think he's able to hold that back, and he's not heavily focusing on anti-air, which is a mistake I see a lot of people doing, and I've even seen Infenzia exploit that by building air units at first and then just destroying them afterwards, so that the opponent goes into anti-air too heavily and wastes their money. Those tanks did manage to destroy Basantos' barracks up here, and are now on their way to do something else. They're going to run off into a different direction. So what's his next plan with those? He's going to come around the back and he's just trying to find out what's in this mountain area. These artillery are now doing the most damage here, with the infantry soaking up some of this damage so that the artillery can do even more. The helicopter's been brought in and these SAM units are a bit out of range for this, I think. He's moving them forward, so they are going to get in range there. And that helicopter's going to take on some heavy damage. With Basantos having to use his helicopter too often, he's not actually able to build up his air force enough for it to be sufficient yet. One tank is trying to sneak through there, and it literally just ran over that unit. But he is going to get through, and that is going to scout for him. So SE2 is bringing tanks in through the top and the bottom just to see what's going on through there. And is doing his best to hold off this attack, and he's got 5 factories here producing tanks and SAM units. And it's just not quite enough to off-balance this. At the moment, it seems that SE2 is trapped into this section of the map, so I'm going to quickly have a look at the eco of this game so far. SE2 is on 400 at the minute per minute, and Basantos is also at 400. They've both been too heavily focused on attacking each other, and have been forced to stop expanding as effectively as they could have normally. But it looks like Basantos is going for an open zone here where there's 2 factories undefended, and he's got his units in there. Artillery is just out of range. No, it's not. It is in range. And they are moving forward to attack the structures there, but the tanks are free to move forward instead. Instead of coming to defend it, he's going off to attack instead. I say that just as he changes his mind, and he is coming back to try and get the artillery as they are undefended from these infantry over here. Basantos, although he's building up enough helicopters, he doesn't have the ability to use them. He's ran out of energy. He's got literally 1 unit left. Now it's gone. This helicopter will end up stopping firing and then returning back to the ground over here. And Basantos doesn't have any money to do that, like change his energy status right now. I don't see any energy wells being constructed, so he has lost his support from his own helicopters right now. And the artillery here look like they're about to get destroyed by 2 tanks, as more tanks are joining in over here, and Basantos is trying to retreat to build up his numbers once again and reach those reinforcements. SE2 is still trying to use his tanks effectively by pushing them through this area. It looks like this whole area has been one big choke point for SE2, and he's holding it off as much as he can. They got really close to those factories, but he was able to save them. And he does have the energy well still. If Basantos could get anything around the back of here and take out this energy, that would win this battle for him. And SE2 doesn't have too much expanding right now. He's only got 8 units, 7 units here of infantry, trying to expand across as much territory as they can get. He does have some up here expanding as well, so he is gaining a good widespread. But a lot of this effort has been down here as both players are equally matched, fighting with different units, trying to figure out a way to exploit each other. Instead of going for an energy well, which he just can't obtain yet, he's going for a power plant, which will help him fund some helicopters, but it only produces 8 per minute, rather than the 24, I believe, per minute of these energy wells. But it will be enough to help him defend against these tanks as they come too close. Here we go, another tank's down. That tank's about to go down as well, so anytime SE2 attacks Basantos, the defense is enough to stop them, and the same vice versa. The Basantos can probably figure out that the energy well he's using is this one because it's pushed back a bit. And it's behind his base. He could be able to try and exploit that with just a couple of units sneaking around to the sides. Maybe just a couple of commandos being built, just 2 or something like that. And maybe sneak him around if you can. He's obviously been trying to expand, but every time he does, he's been pulled back from it. And is unable to complete expanding. And same happened with SE2. So this match is quite long, but it still feels like the early game at this point, where both players are just hindering each other so much that it's causing them to slow down their eco. It does look like SE2 is building up a fairly sizable tank army over here, as both players are pulling back from their attacks and letting their numbers build up. SE2 is sending his tanks up through here. He spotted the helicopters coming in. He's going to move his SAMs there, but it's not going to be quick enough. He needs to bring these tanks back to save them, but he's going to probably lose 1 or 2 of these from these helicopters. But the tanks can shoot the helicopters, they're just not very effective at it, and Basantos can't keep up these helicopters for long, as they use up way more energy than he's actually producing, and he still hasn't managed to storm any. But SE2's helping him out with that by destroying a couple for him. He's built up some defences here. That was because these tanks coming up here, he thought they were going to try and sneak in through this way. So he was trying to set that up early. The attack is still coming now that the helicopters are coming back. He's on haste mode trying to push through here because he's got a lot of energy to use. And the helicopter on the ground is still being hit by these SAM units. And it does go down. Despite being called surface-to-air missiles, they still managed to do surface-to-surface damage. He changed his mind there. He was going to push up through here, but realised the fortifications are going to be harder to get through, so he's gone back to this area to try and get straight in to destroy these structures, particularly the airfield, which is about to go down. There isn't too much he can do about this, but Basantos does have a bit of energy to use, and he's using his helicopters to try and defend that. And as long as the helicopters aren't on this pad, they should be fine. But that interceptor will have nowhere to land soon. Unfortunately for Basantos, it looks like he's going to lose these helicopters because it blows up with them on it, and they didn't even need to be there. I'm not even sure why they landed back on it. He could have had them land over here. And I thought they would naturally go to the territories anyway. So Basantos is under a lot of pressure right now. He probably can push this attack back, but he did lose a key structure for him now. Let's have a quick look at the eco. It looks like Basantos is increasing his eco quite a lot. He's got 644 per minute, and SE2 has 536. So he's doing his best to try and keep up with the eco, but he's focused a lot on taking out the enemy, and he is able to do that quite well right now. His main threat was from air units, but now he's able to take away the SAM production and focus more on ground production. More on tanks and artillery, I mean. And he will be able to try and put more pressure on Basantos in the long run. And Basantos hasn't got another airfield up and running yet, so I don't think he plans to right now. But he might be trying to focus more on expanding across the map, and that is what's allowing him to increase his eco. Because I know SE2 was up here somewhere earlier, so let's have a quick look over there. Yeah, he's still expanding over there, and Basantos is around this area expanding. They will have another front to fight on soon. And these units are expanding as well. They haven't seemed to have made too much progress. But I do think SE2 needs to place some barracks down to help increase this capture rate. One just here would be nice, or over here. And that would allow him to increase his economy just that little bit faster. But he does seem to have a bit of tunnel vision against Basantos right now. And I think he feels like he can break the defense of Basantos, and if he wins this area, that will give him an advantage later on in the game. He's definitely focused heavily on tanks, and that is causing Basantos a problem, because tanks are, as you would think, tanky. They take a lot of damage and they're hard to kill. The tank's main weakness is the energy they cost. You can't really run too many of them, which SE2 is experiencing right now. They're running out of energy really fast. And I think this is one of the first times in the game they have run out of energy with it. He needs to turn this off haste mode, to be fair, otherwise the attack over here is going to be stopped a bit too early. And they are pretty exposed here, so these 2 tanks will probably do a bit more damage than these 5. Just because they're in the right position at the right time. And Basantos doesn't seem too worried about these tanks right now. He's letting most of his units go around here. He's going to try and take out 2 factories while the artillery in the forest here take out those tanks for him. But SE2 does have more artillery coming in through this section of the map. Those artillery are going to have to fight 2 battles there, from defense and the offense here. And before Basantos could really get anywhere there, it looks like the tanks have come in to reinforce this location. And SE2 must be struggling with energy right now. There you go, those barracks went down as well. SE2 is bringing in his tanks through this location. And they're going to go straight for the structures there, I think. Might even be wise to bring the SAM units in closer just to get some extra damage in on anything, or even soak up damage for the tanks. We haven't seen any air units since, but it's always worth keeping those in case of a surprise attack. But now we've run out of energy, Basantos realising that because the tanks stopped moving. With that smoke coming out of him as well. He is expanding the map really fast. He's taken over a lot of territory, and he's gaining more momentum on the eco side of the game. Let's have a look. We've got 820 per minute, and these structures being placed right on the front lines here are quite risky. Because that's still an investment of money that he could have used elsewhere, and there are tanks right next to it, so he's being a bit cheeky on that one, I think. Especially as some of the structures in this area are going down as well. He probably should have tried to set up a base elsewhere on the map, maybe over here or even up here. Second location to work from might have been better in this situation, especially as you're being attacked quite heavily already. But SE2 has got a lot of units, a lot of territory now over time, but it is still taking him quite a long time. He hasn't focused on capturing the territory much at all. He's just trying to expand and explore the map. And what is his eco like right now? So 640, and the progression of Basantos is 900. He is definitely gaining a lead in the eco side of this game. And I think Basantos, purely because of that reason, can still win this match. So at the minute we've only got infantry coming out of this right now, and there is a factory being built here. I just think Basantos is trying to keep focus of SE2 in this area. He knows there's a lot of production here. He knows that this is costing the enemy a lot of time and resources to keep fulfilling all the time. And he might not be able to keep it up for very long, to be fair, with the eco that he's got. So he might not be able to keep on producing structures that are just for offense. He's going to have to try and place some barracks elsewhere on the map, which I still can't see anywhere. And that has surprised me, to be fair. I think that there's a lot of territory he's just passing around, and that's to explore the map to see how far Basantos has got. He knows he's stalling Basantos as well. I think he's just trying to get somewhere to find out how far Basantos has got before he comes back and explores more of his own territories. At the minute, Basantos does have quite a bit of money. He's got 500 coming in that's spare, whereas SE2 doesn't have much coming in spare. He's got 100 almost. Sorry. So his tanks are on the front line. They're trying to take out the commandos and the regular riflemen. I think they'll be able to destroy those quite easily, especially as reinforcements keep coming in. I don't think Basantos can hold this area for much longer. And I think that what he's got there now is pretty much what he's going to go with for the rest of the game. He's getting some industry up. So although he's losing that battle on the front lines, he's still feeling confident he can spend his money on eco. And he is setting up another location up here. He's getting another airfield up and running and some barracks. And he's expanding through here. So soon, the SE2's units coming through here will end up getting caught off by these 3 units. But SE2 doesn't have many units there, but enough to take out those 3, and we'll be able to progress further in later on. Over here, the tanks are going to take out these factory units, factory and barracks here. And they are going to continue to explore what is beyond Basantos' base. These units have circled around. They're coming back to their own territories, so they're going to have to try and capture these territories now. Soon, they continue to be effective. But as these structures get blown up, Basantos will have the chance, and the extra eco now, through the lack of upkeep and production, to be able to switch things up and try and take a different approach against the enemy. Getting some energy set up all the way on the other side of the map, just to try and fund the airfield over here. But unfortunately, SE2 is going to have free reign of this map now for quite a bit, because Basantos just doesn't have the production of units to take out the enemy. He's building another airfield, which is definitely a good choice. I mean, the enemy does have a group of SAM units, but hasn't seen air units for a while, so he wouldn't have been building up those units. And SE2 is not doing anything about the commandos over here, and it's costing him a couple of factories if that continues. I think he's trying to work out something to go on over here. Yeah, he's trying to build stuff to expand the territory more. Just one thing though, and there you go, another factory went down, and SE2 potentially could have easily avoided that with these units going up this way instead. But Basantos was able to get those commandos in, and now he's moving them straight back out, and they're going to be rejoined by a force coming down now. And I definitely expect Basantos to keep these helicopters back for a while until it's time to use them at the right moment. But unfortunately, the investment he's put in on these structures aren't going to last much longer, as SE2 is closing in on that area. There we go, he can spot that industry now, and he's going to probably take that out soon. But with all these tanks in production, I'd probably switch, now that you've taken out this main front area, I'd switch into artillery, because you just don't have the energy to support any more tanks. And it's going to end up stopping the attacks up here if you don't switch out or produce more energy. Luckily he's got enough units there to fire on it while he runs out of energy, so he can still do the damage to Basantos at the same time. Has Basantos been attacked here? He has. 2 of the units have gone down over there, so yeah, they have engaged over here, and it's going to stop Basantos expanding up in the north. And that might intimidate Basantos a lot, thinking that SE2 has already got to this location and covered most of the map, when he actually hasn't really got there yet. Still a lot of territory not under his control. But from Basantos' point of view, it looks like he's gotten over here, so he may control the majority of the map. And seeing these production structures there might be quite concerning. It looks like he is using his helicopters. Not sure where they've gone. Probably, yeah, there you go. I can see the tanks coming in. They come down here. And they're going to try and defend this location, but that is going to give away the air units he's got. And the SAM units will probably come straight through this way fairly soon. I don't know where they've gone. And those tanks have been forgotten about a little bit as they've destroyed those industries. The SAM are in the mountain over here. My eyesight's not working very well today, so they could be recalled over here to stop any of these helicopters doing too much damage. They might not need it though, as this tanks are targeting the helicopters as they're grounded. But Basantos does have more than enough energy to send them off again, and now they're going. He does have more coming in as well, so there's another one here as well, which isn't being sent off yet. And SE2 has spotted Basantos' power plant over here. And these helicopters are going to do a lot of damage to these tanks, as they can't really do much damage to helicopters. So SE2 has waited too long with these SAM units over here. He could have sent them this way earlier and probably saved quite a lot of his tanks. And he's still producing tanks as well, which is making his tanks a bit slower on the ground as the energy becomes a problem. But he's bringing his units in this way as well. The Basantos is going to have to deal with an army coming through over here now. And that's going to be a big issue for him. There isn't a lot to defend with right now. And I'd definitely be using the helicopters against this side over here, making the SAM units have to go up this way instead of going straight towards him. And Basantos is quite literally surrounded right now. But he's definitely sending his helicopters this way. He's going to try and fight all these tanks with helicopters, and they can do a lot of damage really quickly, so he might be able to thin the forces out. But he's not going to be able to hold them off with helicopters alone just yet. And there have been 2 tanks forgotten about over here. He could send these in as well, which would certainly increase their effectiveness. And he's bringing the SAM in now when the helicopters unfortunately are changing their side over here, focused on a different location. And SE2 feels like the energy well is the most important structure to take out here, which it probably is, but he does have a structure elsewhere. I think he's changed his mind now. He's going to go straight for the airfield instead, realizing that it's only just been produced. And the tanks are just going to ignore all the other units. They're going to shoot as they move and try and get to this airfield as quick as possible. And Basantos might not have noticed these units coming in right now, because he does have some he can use to slow them down. But that is just another front he's going to have to deal with very soon. If he doesn't, these units are going to be able to exploit this airfield here quite quickly. He even has some more tanks coming in through the left-hand side, so Basantos is being hit all over the place and is struggling to maintain his defense there. Does he have anything else going on the map? Not really. He does have some structures over here producing some units. And from SE2's point of view, those helicopters are going to come over on this side and take out as many tanks over here, which is not a bad idea. These helicopters are building up in a sufficient amount of numbers to take out tanks really quickly. As the force over here has been destroyed, the airfield saved, which I didn't expect. I thought those tanks would be able to take out that airfield. But more tanks are being pushed through in this direction. And he has the energy to deal with this now, so he can run these tanks as much as he wants. First wave of attacks from the helicopters are not enough to take out the tanks. The second wave probably won't be either, especially as more keep coming in. But they do quite high DPS pretty fast, but then they have to reload more often as well. But they are going to stop these tanks from getting to the airfield once again. At least the front line anyway. I'm not sure about these other guys. They might actually manage to get through and take in a few shots. But Basantos is trying to block off this path here with most of his units, stop these tanks and artillery getting through there. I'd like to see how he's setting up his lines for that. He literally just placed a concaved curve to feed the enemies through, but the tanks are coming in at the point there, which is not really that good for him right now. So he is changing that up. And the helicopters, I don't think are going to be able to save this right now. He needs to get them off the ground once again and get them in there, but he's focused on this location instead, which he might be able to slow down longer. But some of these units are going to fly over this tank and they will target it, so it just wasn't quick enough. And some are changing over to the other one. Luckily they were able to stop those guys. But now the focus is on this front line right here, which SE2 is heavily focused on. I am just going to quickly check the eco. So SE2 has managed to expand through the map now. He's got 1,200. Which is now just overtaking Basantos. So he now has the eco advantage. And is definitely doing very well with his tank tactics right now. He's even set up some more production of tanks in different locations, which Basantos has found with his commandos and infantry. And he's trying to set up as many helicopters on the back lines as possible, but there is a lot of SAM here and they're coming in. As soon as one comes into range that it's gone down, the second one's going to go down really quickly as well. 3 helicopters are down, most of them are going down really quick, and he doesn't have the production of 2 airfields anymore. I think that SE2 is going to be able to put those air attacks from now on. But we'll probably hold off on the ground forces for a little bit, especially that he's still got some production there, but the tanks are sneaking in through the side and taking out that production as well. Santos is trying to recover with his eco, trying to put in some industries over there. And at the same time, SE2 doesn't care too much about eco structures. He's literally going... I've just noticed there's something going on over here, so I'll have a look at that in a sec. Yeah, he's not too worried about his own eco structures. He's still just trying to claim territories. Santos has managed to get some units going across over here and take away some territories from SE2. Potentially even take out some of his structures down there too. Fortunately for Basantos though, he's still got helicopters coming in and I can't see any SAM units anymore. Unless they're in the mountain. Yeah, they are. They're hiding away in the mountains. So these helicopters are getting some free hits on the tanks down here. If this was moved down there, they might be in range of those helicopters to defend the tanks with. But either way, SE2 is doing a very good job at taking out Basantos right now. From down there, which I didn't necessarily know was the better option, but it seemed like it was. And he's building a nuke silo, one of my favourite structures, but I don't know if he even needs it right now. But once it gets produced, that will give him a good defensive bonus. If Basantos comes back on this game, he'll be able to change the tide once again. And the artillery are moving in on Basantos over here. So what is Basantos doing now? Where's he going to go? Does have control over quite a large area of the map. It's just a bit dotted around. He's going down here. He's building up another set of bases and he's getting some units to go on the offensive right now, and that is going to end up coming through the back of SE2. I mean, there's a lot of production over here that he could end up trying to attack, or he could even try and exploit this area down here, the gap and opening there. He might even split off into 2 forces, which would probably be quite beneficial. But unfortunately for Basantos, up here he's just not able to keep control over this location, and those air units are going to end up going down to the SAM that are brought in, and that's pretty much his only defense over here right now. Taking a look at the eco though, Basantos does have a lot of money he can use, and he has 1,400 still, whereas SE2 has 1,200, but is in the negatives when it comes to per minute. Or his profit, should I say. SE2 has decided to change up his tactic of tanks. He's actually switching into some air units with the extra lack of eco he's got. He's got 2 airfields and he's going to struggle to get this producing a rocket once it's built. And I've just noticed there is an energy well right next to all these production structures that he's just starting to notice and exploit there, or destroy. And there is another airfield down here, so Basantos is now using 2 locations around the enemy to try and defeat him. And potentially 3. He's got loads of little outposts around the map. meaning these tank forces are having to spread out a bit further and try and take out different locations. One energy well goes down for Basantos, but I don't think he's worried too much about his energy supplies. He's about to lose his airfield anyway. And Basantos is one of those players that really just won't go down when you really are putting on the pressure against him, and he's quite a stubborn player, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say. Which is actually quite something I actually quite enjoy playing against. So, do have a lot of production down here now, and they are pushing their way through here, and there is the airfield over there that's been spotted. But I don't think Basantos has enough units there to take him out. But he does have a good force of units over here trying to push down through the base behind SE2. Over here, he spotted the energy well as well. He's going for the tanks to attack that energy well. He doesn't have much of a defense over here, so it looks like these units are going to get through. There's a couple of commandos in the forest over there, but they might be able to do more damage than those commandos can stop. So, wasn't there something going on down here as well? So he's sending his tanks up through this way because Basantos does have a base over there. He doesn't know it yet, but about to find out. And SE2 is going to collect these territories up from this area from Basantos. Basantos has spotted these barracks over here in the forest. He's going to get his infantry to take out them. He's targeted all three, which I think is spreading out the damage a bit too much. He needs to focus on one at a time, otherwise he's not going to actually destroy any. Because he's got one down at least, so he's got that one. But the tanks are coming in to take out some of these other units as to defend these barracks. I'm not sure he's going to take out too many. The tanks are going to do a lot of damage to help defend this area. But he does have more units coming in through there, so they will be able to take on that challenge as well to take out those structures. And Basantos also has his own rocket that I didn't see being built. But he does need to supply it, which he will do very soon. He does have a positive eco stream. But so does SE2 now. He must have stopped some production to be able to get that eco up really quick to get this rocket going. That actually might be really beneficial right now for him if he gets this rocket built to take out the army that's coming in towards that rocket that Basantos probably doesn't even know about yet. So the units going in through there can see the airfield there, but none of the other structures in this area apart from the barracks that he spotted before. Over here, the tanks are being successful at taking out the outpost in the north, bottom right part of the map. There's battles going on everywhere, and I'm trying to keep up with what's going on. Over here, the tanks have come in through this area and are being stopped by some infantry, but I don't know if that's enough infantry to stop them. But there is a lot of helicopters in the area that can help damage them over time with the infantry blocking them. Over on this side, SE2 is sending in a lot of tanks to try and take out this area. They're on haste mode as well, so they're going to get there really fast. So as these units are coming up, I think Basantos has spotted this and he's building up defences against them. Those helicopters are pretty much the only thing that will stand between that outpost over there. These tanks are going to hit this fortification here, but I don't think SE2 is going to care about that too much. He can go around them, and that's what he's going to do anyway. But he could probably have just ploughed right through them, to be fair. There we go. These tanks are coming through this gap here to try and take out the structures, but as these units come around, they are going to surround him, which means there's going to be a lot of damage dealt to these tanks. But I don't think Basantos... He has got his rocket here. I don't think it's going to get spotted, though. It might do if he can get enough units into this little gap here for the accumulative vision to get through that stealth. I think SE2 is just trying to cause some chaos here, putting these right in the middle of the base and just letting them do their own thing. He's not setting up strike commands, he's just letting them shoot anything and everything, and I think that's probably a good idea here. Get as much damage out as possible. Over here, it looks like Basantos was able to stop those tanks from getting in, but he is being attacked by the commandos, and I don't know if he's noticed this yet, because he needs to have his helicopters up and running over there. Try and defend this airfield. He's got some commandos coming in, but I think that's a different plan he's got there. Over here, the rocket has... Oh, it might not have been spotted yet. By right, it would be spotted over there. No, he hasn't got enough vision there, so that rocket is still invisible to him. But he does have the rocket ready to fire whenever he wants to fire it. And I don't think Basantos can see his rocket either. Nope. He is trying to go for some Navy units, and he's got a cruiser over here, so he will be able to take some structures out pretty much for free. But there is an artillery there. He could bring it around this way if he spots that. And those tanks are clearing up the back end of this base, and the other tanks have reinforced this area, so the offensive army have been pretty much neutralized at this point. Commandos over here have taken out that area, and SE2... Wait, let's go back to SE2. Where's that airfield coming from? Oh, that's from here. So the airfield has managed to go all the way across here and take out the other airfield with those strategic bombers. I'm going to have to look up what they're called, because I keep forgetting. I think they're strategic bombers. Could be wrong. And unfortunately, SE2's main units over here have been stopped. But he has done a lot of damage there, and Basantos has had to rebuild some of his units, some of his structures. As more bombers are coming in, they are going to try and clear up these damaged structures. And that rocket is ready, and if he strikes this area, he might get that airfield as well. You can hear the rocket being fired from Basantos. I am wondering if SE2 will retaliate by sending his rocket out as well. And that rocket's going to go over there, which is unfortunate, because if he had gone for the mountains, there's a lot of units in there. But he does take out quite a large bit of the production there. He's got 3 of the structures. The rocket is being fired in retaliation. And that's probably going to come over this direction here, as I don't see any of the aircraft over it anymore. And the end of the match has been reached. Basantos has given him the white flag for that rocket coming in. We don't get to see it land, which is kind of annoying, but it's fine. We'll have some more rockets come in future games, I'm very sure. If you like this video, feel free to subscribe. And there's 2 videos on screen right now if you want to watch any more. I'll see you there. Thanks for watching.